Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to do something that I haven't done in a while, which is going to be a kit review. And the kit in question is this interesting car here, the Terrestrial Defense Force PO1 by Fujimi, which when I, when I saw this at my hobby shop, I was looking at it thinking, what the heck is this? And definitely wanted to get it to see what it's like. The big selling point on this actually was that it's a 124 scale kit, as I was originally thinking being a police/military kit. I was thinking it's going to be a 135th scale car, but wasn't the case. So, a lot of it, and of course being a Fujimi kit, it's got a lot of bunch of writing on it that I don't understand. Supposedly, it's probably re-released, but apparently it has an original copy date of 1967. And the car itself, not apparently this was from a Japanese TV show known as Ultraman, which I've never heard of before. So this was definitely a unique kit to get. So let me just open this up, show you what's all in it. So starting off first, got the instructions, which of course pretty much giving you the throwdown of basic health and safety guidelines, and then what I do like is also the parts list that it gives you, which is really nice, helping to identify the pieces. And then going through, apparently got two different. Okay, there's two different setups to have mounted guns, or two different versions of with mounted guns or the guns off. So there's that, and then also the paint guide down below here. Then pretty much the build through. And by the looks of it, this is pretty much going to be a curbside kit, which I'm not too displeased about, because this is definitely a fairly unique vehicle. So here's the body, which in itself is fairly nicely molded. It doesn't. For a while, I've been trying to find out what the actual car is, but couldn't find really any information about it. So by looking at it, it's the only really distinct features would be the door lines, which I'm thinking may be some sort of GM car from the 50s. But either than that, not entirely sure what this could have possibly been originally. And of course, being a very specific car, can only be built one way. But if you really want to, you could do your own custom paint scheme, I suppose. So then here got glass pieces. Got the front and side window glass. And then the back window. Then got seems to be some hubcap styled wheels. Seem to be highly chromed. Okay, it's interesting. Supposedly, the car is known as the TDF-PO1, but supposedly it's also called the Pointer, which is interesting. So there's the wheels. Then, we have more clear pieces, which mainly the lights, which would pretty much just be painted up as normal. And then we got some dull chrome part, or more like aluminum parts. So got some assorted guns, and the gun mounts, as well as the exhaust systems, windshield wipers. Well, I'm thinking these may be some dials or something. maybe a little bit hard to tell. So, got some cool pieces in that. Then some more white parts, including some white wall inserts. Then some body panels, which is fairly fairly interesting. How it's just a bunch of prisms together. So it's fairly different. So that, and then we got a metal telescopic rod, which I'm thinking this might be for a radio antenna or something. So that's an interesting part to get with a kit. Then got the this bag's open. Let's open this bag. So got some more subtle parts, like we got the full chassis of the car, which is a fairly decent size. Then got the interior tub, which is pretty lackluster when it comes to details, but it's whatever. Then got the rear leaf springs and axle, which I'm surprised to find that it's actually separate pieces instead of being molded in as one. So it's going to be there's going to be a lot of putting together on the kit. That's going to be interesting. Next here we got the rest of the parts, which is the body floor, which has the engine, some of the exhaust system already molded in, as to be expected. Then you got your dashboard, which I'm definitely seeing some 50s car. I'm thinking GM, but could be wrong. Then got your steering system, wheel bushings, struts. So you got steering wheel, which, looking at it, I'm thinking for a brief second, I'm thinking it may be like a Chrysler vehicle. But if anyone knows anything about it, it would be much appreciated to know. Then got the headlight bezels. So that's it for parts. Or finishing up for the parts, I got the tires, which of course there's 4 of them. 4 tires, which are solids but very flexible, surprisingly enough, and very squishy. Then of course got some wheel axle pins and some retaining bushings, as you get with most of these Japanese styled kits. So got those there. And then finally you got the fairly nice decal sheet with all the stripes, which looks fairly nicely done, very crisp. Don't see any no wrinkles in it, so that's good. So what this is going to be is going to be putting some stuff together, see how it all goes, and then be with you again with a quick update. Okay, so now we got a little bit more things put together now. Now, I also did go ahead and start painting a few of the pieces, like I got the body here painted up in silver instead of the molded white. Now, I still need to do a clear coat on this, but I'm just going to wait on that briefly. Then probably go ahead, detail the inside of the grille. Do along the body lines a little bit. There's that, and then did get one of the guns assembled, which these here are fairly nice, fairly decent to put together. Good thing is because the 3 of them glued together, they're mainly held together. You just glue them the 3 together, and then with the outsides, they just click into place in the middle, so they can be tilted up and down. Which, when they're on the car, they'll mount onto the gun mount in the back. Then did go ahead and it's actually a separate piece here, which I did go ahead and glue in, as this is also going to be painted the same color as the frame, or the underside of the car. Then to go with it, to get the chassis all built up. And then as I was thinking of it more, this is probably more of a Chrysler car than a GM car than what I was saying earlier. As with the torsion bar front suspension, this would have definitely been off a 50s Chrysler. Which, what really threw me off guard is because it's a 4-door car, and you really don't see many 4-doors and mainly just 2-door coupes. It's hard to guess what the exact car would have been originally, so if anyone's interested, there's that. So, got this together, and of course the kit did originally have posable steering, but I did have a problem with one of the tabs not working right, so I just clicked it in, glued everything together, which went together pretty straightforward. Really, if you don't want to build the guns, you can just go over, use the clear rear windows to go over top of everything. So really, it just takes about maybe half an hour worth of work to get the wheels and tires put together. Now on the kit, it instructs to paint a red bead around it to represent that's the rim, and this is just the hubcap. So painted those up, which is a fairly tedious task in itself, as you're struggling just to being careful not to get on the outer lip. So with those, got the wheel bushings installed on all four, which they'll just go onto the axle tabs as your typical Fujimi kit would have. And I will say for this is that if I was to do a quick 48-hour build, this actually be a fairly decent one, because there's not a whole lot to it, but yet there's a lot of possibilities that can be done, other than if you don't want to go for a standard version, do some customizing. It's a fairly decent kit if you just want to focus on the aesthetics and not worry about an engine and such. So it's so I'd say it's fairly nice. I'm probably gonna go paint the rest of these body panels now. So after this, I'll paint these up and then get right back to you. So here now, I finally got the car all put together. So did all the decal work, and did have some slight difficulties with the decals, as in a way they were a bit fragile, especially trying to get over the accent. So what I found is, for next time at least, probably keep some of the body trim pieces off and then put the decals on. But on that, the rest of them went on quite smoothly, which I'm quite happy about, and overall putting everything back together wasn't that bad of a task, and how I see it, it turned out quite nicely. Then the only difficulty part was trying to get the chassis together, as there's just 2 tabs on the front and the back to line up to. So it's pretty much a case of having to heavily spread out the body panels in order for stuff to fit. And of course, scuffed up the underside a little bit. But didn't weather it up too majorly. So there's that. And then decided to go use the gun turrets on the back, just to enhance it a little bit, give it more uniqueness. But of course, you could use, say, the smaller missile turrets so that they can be stored underneath the rear windows. But what I did was I just glued them in, since I'm not going to be didn't really think I was going to be adjusting them that much, so not too much of a concern. So yeah, say that it was a fairly so found that this was a fairly nice looking car to put together, and definitely if I can find another one, I definitely build it again. But I may do it a bit of a different style, enhance it a little bit more, or if anything, do my own do a custom paint job on it and add some accessories to it. So yeah, so there's pretty much that. One thing I would like to mention is that I did have the antenna radio, like seen on here, installed, but fell off during the final assembly stages and haven't been able to locate it since, which I'm a bit annoyed about, but that stuff happens, and really, the car looks fine as is. And if anything, if I find it later, just put it on later. So, yeah, I figured, yeah. So, fairly nice looking car. Yeah, so I think that'll pretty much just wrap it up for this video, and thanks for watching. And if this convinced you about this kit, perfect. So, if you ever find it, let me know, and yeah, see what you do with it. And I think that'll be it for this video, and till next time, see you later.